Hey folks, welcome back. Can you feel that? It's feeling very freaky deaky in here, perhaps even spooky. And you know what that means. It's tax season! It's the month of Halloween! This is my favorite time of year. The leaves fall off the trees, I can go outside without succumbing to heat stroke, and everybody's in a festive, spooky mood. Now I know what you're gonna say. Oh Ben, this is the second Friday of October. You missed an opportunity to make a spooky video last week. Well, big fucking deal. I've been busy lately, okay? Cut me some slack. Okay, this isn't as easy as it looks. I love being scared, man. Creepy stuff has always interested me. Even when I was a rotten, stinking little bitch-ass kid, there was always something about horror and spooky stuff that pulled me in. Of course, when I actually tried to indulge in my interest in horror, I watched my brother playing Resident Evil 4, which caused me to have war flashbacks every time I saw a chainsaw at Canadian Tire. So yeah, I was definitely fascinated, but I was also a sensitive little boy. I had to get my spooks from somewhere a little bit more PG-13, and that is where Goosebumps comes in. For those of you who are currently rotten, stinking little bitch-ass kids, Goosebumps was a hugely popular series of children's horror fictions written by R.L. Stine, which is amazingly his real name. The guy was born to write Say Cheese and Die. I collected Goosebumps like they were food rations in the apocalypse back in the day. I didn't have all 62 of the original series, but I got pretty damn close. I got rid of them in a garage sale or whatever, of course, but I've actually started collecting a few of the original print books again. Maybe that dream of having a full set will come to fruition sometime soon. I figure if I set my expectations for my life low, it's impossible to be disappointed. Goosebumps was the coolest back in the day, especially if you were a weird kid like me. They were spooky stories that a kid could enjoy without having their pants completely spooked off. Spooked off a little, for sure, but not entirely. On top of the books was the TV series. Sure, it was, garbage, but it was a lot of fun. And hey, there's Ryan Gosling. So yeah, Goosebumps has remained popular over the years. It definitely hit its peak in the 90s, but good old R.L. Stine has managed to consistently keep kiddos creeped from generation to generation. But you know what happens to anything directed at kids that gains any semblance of popularity? A bunch of suited dickheads come in and say, we need a Goosebumps on the GameCube, and we need it yesterday. Yeah, Goosebumps has had its fair share of video games, most of which, if you can believe it, were not exactly lauded by critics and fans. And what better way to kick off the month of scary by looking at some garbage? We're starting off with the aptly titled Goosebumps, released in 2015 to coincide with the release of the movie they made with Jack Black. According to the internet, this game is a prequel to the movie. I don't know, do you think I've seen that? Astoundingly, despite this being a tie-in for a multi-million-dollar big-budget film starring famous Hollywood jokesmith Jack Black, Goosebumps the game is a quaint little point-and-click adventure game, along the same lines as Nancy Drew. And hey, ain't that funny? I made a video about Nancy Drew last Halloween. Look at that, it's all tied together. The game begins with this weird cutscene involving these two guys who work for a moving company. It gives you no indication as to which of these guys is talking, so I guess you just have to guess. It's not like these characters matter anyway, so who cares? They stop the truck and open up the back to find the Green Goblin of Goosebumps, Slappy the ventriloquist dummy. He kills them, I think. I don't know. This entire game is made out of JPEGs, who knows? After that, we hop into the actual game, where we play as a random kid. The entire thing is through a first-person perspective, so the main character could be anyone. Could be you! We hop right in and start at a stinky old school. But this is Goosebumps. F*** school. I'm going home. Really annoying that we gotta head through the spooky woods to get home rather than the open, safe parking lot. You're not getting home tonight. Sorry, kiddo. Turns out that this guy is a scary plant monster, man. I'm not sure how you would possibly know that if you didn't let him kill you and get the animation showing his nasty tree arms, but whatever. Thankfully, there's a bottle of plant killer over by a maintenance shed across from the parking lot. What is this? Resident Evil? We get back to our house to find that it's been replaced by a scary haunted house, taken directly from the cover of the first Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House, so that's pretty neat. You head on in and, shocker, this house is haunted as shit. There's a spooky old lady who gives you poisonous prune juice, the clock straight out of the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, secret passageways that lead to an MC Escher looking space dimension that you can use to fast travel. After looking around for a bit, you get greeted by 3 ghost children who are using their spooky abilities to prevent you from opening certain doors that you need to proceed. You give this kid a letter and he dematerializes into some photo paper, so obviously we gotta develop it. Thankfully, this house has a dark room. Now, I've never done this in real life, but I've played a lot of video games. You'd be surprised how many of them involve developing photos in a dark room. So we'll just put this in the fluid and we'll take it out. Okay, maybe one of the other fluids. Jesus, man, how the hell am I supposed to know which fluid to use first? They're not even labeled. You have to put the printer paper into the solution and then leave it in there for an actual real life minute. I can't, like, how is I supposed to... Who the fuck would think to do that? There's not even any indication. There's no beep or something when it's done developing, nothing. There's like a hint on your dad's computer, but based on the progression of the game, you're almost guaranteed to not even log onto the computer until way after you've already done this photo development puzzle. After you're done developing the photo, you hang it on the line and the game gives you a wait option. Why the fuck didn't it just do that when you... Anyway, after you've banished all the ghost children to the Shadow Realm, your teenage brother named Chad, because of course his name is Chad, pulls up and drives you to the mall where you have a final showdown with Slappy. If you manage to perfectly guess which dialogue options to pick, you defeat Slappy. And that's all she wrote, fellas. So that's the long and short of the Goosebumps game. What a weird game, man. It came out alongside the Goosebumps movie, a massive Hollywood blockbuster film, and a really successful one at that. You would think that they would release, like, I don't know, anything other than this low-key point-and-click adventure game. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I like a point-and-click. It's just strange to me. One would expect something a little bit more fantastical, like an action-adventure game or something. Now, is it a good point-and-click adventure game? It's alright. It has a decent amount of character to it, at the very least. It's packed with visuals and references to the Goosebumps series. Cuckoo Clock of Doom, It Came From Beneath the Sink, Welcome to Deadhouse, Bad Hair Day, How I Got My Shrunken Head, The Beast from the East, Welcome to Camp Jelly Jam, etc. It's neat. But apart from that, it's pretty bare bones, honestly. It's very short. I'm talking like 2 hours tops. There's no voice acting, the absolute bare minimum in terms of animation. Very few puzzles, and the puzzles it does have are just riddles or wait for a full actual real-life minute 3 times in a row. While playing it, I was constantly thinking back to the Nancy Drew games, and honestly, I think you get a lot more out of those. Sure, the voice acting is horrendous and the puzzles are agonizing at points, but Nancy Drew has a lot more character and personality to it. The characters are animated and voice acted, there's a number of different unique puzzles, and they actually take some time to beat. Plus there's like 50 billion Nancy Drew games, so you can play them non-stop until you succumb to a hopefully peaceful death of old age. So there you have it, folks. I found something good to say about the Nancy Drew video games. Don't get me wrong, I'll never forgive them for that fucking picture frame puzzle, but I can honestly say I would prefer to play Nancy Drew over this Goosebumps game. But we're not done yet, folks. We got one more PG spookfest to look at in the form of Goosebumps Dead of Night. So get ready to be scared, fellas. Scared at how bad this game is. Goosebumps Dead of Night was released in June 2020 on pretty much every platform. Let me tell you, it is borderline impossible to find information about this game. One would think based on the marketing that it's a sequel to the 2015 game, but from what I can tell, it's a port of a mobile game originally called Goosebumps Night of Scares. So that's awesome, a port of a mobile game. We're off to a terrific start. Let's get an idea of what we're dealing with by reading the description of the game. In Goosebumps Dead of Night, the best-selling Goosebumps franchise has been reimagined as a first-person spooky survival adventure game for the PC. Experience 3 chapters of stealth gameplay with 3D graphics and chilling AI monsters. Holy shit, this game has AI? Commodore 64 users, get ready for the next big leap in technology. Anyway, let's boot this shit up and get it over with. Well, we start up the game and the menu screen is accompanied by just straight up the music from every Final Fantasy game. So that's great. We hop into the game and, to my shock, are met with the voice of Jack Black.
Hello? Hey, come over here. Quick, there's not much time.
Huh. So I guess that's why this game costs $35. So yeah, Jack Black reprises his role as R.L. Stine as he appeared in the Goosebumps movie. My man has been trapped inside of a typewriter by that rat bastard Slappy. Slappy is, for some reason, also voiced by Jack Black. Like, I know that's how it was in the movie, but like, I don't know, he doesn't do a different enough voice for you to not just notice that it's just Jack Black again. Like, why not just get a different voice actor? maybe Joe Pesci or Robert De Niro or Joe Pantoliano, you know, one of those, "Hey, bada bing, who you calling dummy? It's me, Slappy, I'm a doll." You know, one of those gabagool pizza pie guys that talk funny and stuff. Anyway, it turns out that Slappy can be cappied inside of a cappy at the Night of the Living Dummy. And by that, I mean, it turns out that Slappy can be captured inside of a copy of Night of the Living Dummy. Unfortunately, though, the copy we have here is missing a bunch of the pages, so it's up for us to find the pages throughout the house. So yeah, rather than a point and click, Dead of Night is a first-person adventure game. So that's pretty neat. There could be a lot of potential here. Structure-wise, this game is basically a survival horror game. There are different Goosebumps monsters throughout the house, against which you pretty much have no way of defending yourself. If a monster comes at you, you have to find a hiding spot and wait it out. One thing that's kinda cool is that all the monsters have different ways of working. The scary zombie lady is the easiest to avoid. You just have to find a hiding spot pretty much anywhere, and she's so stupid that she completely loses you in the process. But there's also this werewolf guy who, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how he works. As far as I can tell, he's just a faster version of the zombie girl. On the more interesting side is Murder the Clown, which is not an instruction, but a name. Murder here just kind of appears behind you in bigger hiding spots, and he'll also appear if you're in the dark for too long, so you gotta make sure you flip all the light switches. And to make that a little bit more difficult, there are little lawn gnomes running around the house that don't hurt you, but alert other monsters and will turn off light switches to make Red Skeleton more likely to appear. This game is broken into 3 areas. Good old Robbie Stein's house, the weird plant conservatory that he has behind his house for some reason, and the secret lab with a talking statue of Nikola Tesla. I don't know why R.L. Stein has that. I don't really... Here you get a laser gun thing and you fight giant gummy bears. At the end, you face off against Slappy in an awfully familiar looking boss fight, and...
That's the game!
So yeah, this game is bad. It's not that bad, but it's bad. It's boring, you walk way too slow. You can only sprint for like half a second and then you have to spend a goddamn eternity waiting for your stamina to refill. It's simultaneously way too hand-holding at times and frustrating at others. It's a shame because this is a good concept. A first-person Goosebumps adventure where you have to hide from a bunch of monsters from the books is cool. But this game just has no soul to it, you know, no personality. It's just like haunted house, spooky plant conservatory, evil laboratory. Like, how the fuck are you charging me $35 for this game you can beat in 2 hours? Honestly, you take out Slappy and the goop that goes on the blocked off doors, and this is just your run-of-the-mill Unreal Engine indie horror game. And I mean, I'm not ragging on Unreal Engine indie horror games. God bless. If you're working with a low budget, make the best of what you got. But this is Goosebumps, man. Sure, it's not the biggest media franchise out there, but it must be possible to make something with more personality than this. There are 62 books in the original series alone, not to mention the spin-offs, Choose Your Own Adventure series. There's so much material to work with here. And I mean, the first game had a little bit more personality to it, but it's still pretty lame. Pretty much everything that indicated this being a Goosebumps game were little 5-second Easter eggs. As a longtime fan of Goosebumps, it would be so cool to see a fully fledged Goosebumps game. Yet again, I find myself looking back to the Nancy Drew games. Each of those are direct adaptations of one of the novels. And I mean, yeah, the puzzles are... But hey, I mean, if they made them a little bit more accessible, adapting a bunch of Goosebumps books into point-and-click adventure games would print money. And that's the Goosebumps video games. Well, 2 of them. There are a couple other Goosebumps games I could look at, but as I always say to kids just graduating high school, it doesn't get any better from here. It just gets more expensive. But hey, the month of scares has only just begun. We got a few weeks ahead of us, fellas, so get ready for a whole lot of videos about spooky stuff like... I'll think of something.